West Ham v Man United 1975. The story goes that West Ham were still angry at the way Man United took over Upton Park in the 1967 title deciding game. It's apparently the one and only time a firm took the West Ham North Bank. Took is probably a misleading word, as they simply got in as soon as the gates were open. Well, there were 20,000 Reds that day, and nobody could have stopped them. Anyway, we'll let Bill tell his story. This was definitely retribution for Man United taking the piss at Upton Park in '67 and about East End pride. Not just the Mile End mob, but the word must have got around that Man United were coming en masse, as I swear thousands. Anyone who was up for it in the East End that day turned up and got stuck right in. Many no doubt had no interest in football, just didn't want the stigma of northern hooligans taking over their local manor, and made sure they would be a hefty price. Man United had the biggest away support I have ever seen at Upton Park since and in the South Bank. That season they had returned from the old Division 2 after relegation the season before. It was said that they took every away home end in Div 2, and it was the most tense atmosphere I can remember at Upton Park ever. I think because they had such huge numbers, more tense even than all the Millwall games with the helicopters. I was too young to see '67 where Man had a go, or took the North Bank according to some who went. Obviously, West Ham were expecting Man United to bring a huge following to this game and try and take the North Bank, but I remember getting there early as many others at about 11 AM and the queue being massive for the North Bank. When we finally got in, they closed the turnstiles with thousands locked outside. The North Bank was rammed with West Ham only, who sang all the old chestnuts, South Bank, do your job. South Bank, do your job. West Ham aggro, hello. You'll never make the station. You're going to get your feckin' heads kicked in. You're going home in a blue and white ambulance. South Bank did their job most of the game from behind, and the Manx, to their credit, had a good go back, but alas capitulated and ended up on the pitch. Game stopped, etc. Excellent game, we won 2-1. From memory we went 1-0 up and the place went mental, Q trouble. Then they equalised, Q even more trouble. Then Bobby Gould got the winner and the place was rocking. Outside was sheer carnage with the Manx running everywhere. Reports they were run all around Upton Park and back to the stations are true, but after a bit of fun on the streets I decided to get the tube to get home in time for tea. The trouble was even plastered on the front page of the evening news, which I eagerly read on the train home. Man United fan Roy told us his memories of the day. We got into the ground, no problem. There must have been 6,000 of us in the South Bank about 2 PM and it was rammed. Then it all kicked off with the West Ham behind us, charging into Man United at the back and sides. This led to a massive gap in the crowd, which the police moved into and created a line between the rival fans. But more attacks from the West Ham saw that line breached time and time again, with Reds fans trying to also break the line in retaliation. By this time the game had kicked off and it was stifling. I couldn't tell what was happening at the back, but there was something going on, which forced more people to the front of the stand, causing the crush scene seen on the video. After about 10 minutes, the police managed to get control and created a no man's land, but that in turn forced more fans to the front of the stand. There was nowhere to go, other than on the pitch. Hundreds of fans being forced onto the pitch. I was on the pitch and when I looked back there was an almighty scrap going on in the east part of the South Bank, with Hammers fans piling into Reds who were fighting back but under extreme pressure. Then some United fans invaded the pitch and tried to get into the North Bank, which was mad as it was full of West Ham. After about 30 minutes, the police managed to get most of the injured fans out of the South Bank end and eased the pressure, and we got back into the stand, but it all kicked off again when we scored. After the match, it was mayhem with running battles taking place. Police horses were charging down the streets and thousands of West Ham trying to maim any Reds fans they could find. They say they only pick on those that want to fight, but I saw women and children attacked, along with scarfers. Somehow we managed to get back to the tube station, but even then it was kicking off on the platform with more running battles taking place. The whole day was a nightmare from start to finish. I've never forgiven them and always hope they get beat. We thank Bill and Roy for their recollections. It's been very difficult finding United fans to talk about this one, probably as it's seen as one that they lost, which was pretty unusual for them at this time, as they were probably the most notorious firm. But it's clear that West Ham had the upper hand on this occasion. Of course, these events have consequences, and we dread to think what might have happened if there had been fences erected at this ground. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe for future video notifications and to help our channel grow.